Well, one of the questions that kind of came up in my mind as I was reviewing the show is the royal family bloodline. You would think that the kids would be treated like royalty, but you're actually saying they're abused. Why do they feel like they need to abuse their own children?
Well, I think that Illuminists don't see it necessarily as abuse. I think they see it as a necessary evil means to an end. And part of the sickness of what happens with satanic ritual abuse is the endowing with demonic power. Mm-hmm. And taking a person through the various rituals as a means of occult control and mind control, and that's part of the reason why that happens.
It's just kind of a twisted way of thinking.
It certainly is. Yeah. And really, Illuminati, my family was Illuminati, which is an inner group within the group of Masonry. Yeah. It's kind of an invisible group, whereas Masonry is more of a visible group of people. But Illuminists believe that they're actually doing the world a favor, that they have this esoteric knowledge that will benefit mankind, and therefore they should rule the world. Mm-hmm. And as a result, they will dedicate the entire family line to the Illuminati and to Masonry. So again, in their twisted way of thinking, they think they're being public servants by yes, they do, ruining their children. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's very unfortunate. Interesting. And just to kind of reiterate, for people who weren't able to watch last month, again, it's on the back of the dollar bill, the pyramid. Mm-hmm. You want to just briefly explain that again? Well, one of the things that's interesting about Masonry is the influence that Masons have had in this country. Masons designed the dollar bill, mm-hmm. and it's kind of interesting. They've hidden something that has very profound occult meaning in plain sight on the dollar bill. And so on the back of the dollar bill, you can see a pyramid with the eye over it. The capstone of the pyramid is an eye, and that's called an Illuminati eye, or the mm-hmm. Eye of Horus. Mm-hmm. And really, our Masons designed the dollar bill, so the 13 steps up that pyramid on the back of the dollar bill represent different levels of occult achievement to ultimately reach full possession by Lucifer. All right, and then the bottom step is really seeker friendly, and and so they kind of mix the Bible in with what they're doing, so people are really deceived. Albert Pike was an American, but he had influence because of his station so high in Freemasonry. He was on grand councils in other countries as well. Okay, so let's talk about him as a person. He was a Satanist. He was. I guess I would say he's Luciferian. Luciferian. Mm-hmm, because Masons believe in Lucifer, which is a little bit different than people that directly worship Satan. They directly worship Lucifer as the light bearer, and that's where you get the term Illuminism. Is the Illuminati? The Illuminati are the masters of the light. Right. And now my family, as well as, there's probably a lot of people watching who, might be going to lodges, and they say, no, we have the Bible there. We don't worship Lucifer. But it's kind of indirectly, kind of deceptively, without even knowing. Yes, absolutely. I have a copy of Albert Pike's book, Morals and Dogma. This is a version that was printed, a revised printing before 1952. This book was originally printed in 1871. It was originally published, and then there were revisions, but there's very specifically, if you have an interest in Googling this, you can Google the term Chart of Masonic Beliefs, and it will tell you where in Albert Pike's book, this is considered the Bible of Freemasonry, but it will tell you where in this book are the various things that Masons believe. And one of the things that's noted on page 321 of this book is a mention of Lucifer here. It says, Lucifer the light bearer, strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness, Lucifer the son of the morning. Is it he who bears the light, and with its splendors intolerable blinds feeble, sensual, or selfish souls? So it's very clear in Albert Pike's work that Masonry is Luciferian. Unfortunately, it's hidden, and he's quoted as saying intentionally that people are misled to believe what they want to believe, especially in the lower degrees, the Blue Lodge, which is the degrees 1 through 3, which would be represented on that pyramid on the back of the dollar bill as the bottom rung. That's the start into the pathway for Luciferianism.
Yeah. Now, a lot of time, as we even see on news reporters and events on TV, people get mad at the messenger, not instead of the message. And I want to talk a little bit about Albert Pike.
Yes.
About so people who are watching can say, "Wow, this is really a wicked man." Can you talk a little more about his biography?
Well, we can talk about several things. He was actually up for treason. The American government, there was a trial for treason. Again, he was co-founder of the Ku Klux Klan, and I think people today are pretty clear that the premise of the Ku Klux Klan was diabolical, that innocent people were hurt and tormented through that group. Andrew Johnson, because he was a lower level Mason, was actually submissive to Albert Pike. So in a sense, it was as though Albert Pike was pulling the strings on the country through President Andrew Johnson without actually being an elected official. And, have you ever sensed that presidents were like puppets on a string? I
think
this
is where this comes from.
That's where this comes from. Many of our presidents were Masons.
So any presidents that are Masons, if they're a 33rd degree or something, but there's people above them who are
hierarchy.
Who are above them. They actually call the shots.
Yes,
that's where this so-called conspiracy theory comes from. It's right out of that, right out of them honoring their royal master.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I think that in Masonry, one of the things that's difficult about Masonry, and I think that anyone that is a professing Christian that's involved needs to think about the scripture that says no man can have two masters, because in Masonry these men take oaths and vows that to the lodge first. So they even remove their wedding ring. So they're actually create covenant marriage with the law, with the Masonic law, and civil law comes second. So therefore, if a higher ranking Mason dislikes something a lower ranking Mason does, he has authority over him.